they say?
Well, a lot of people weren't happy. We lost sponsors. It was an issue. But I think it did the job. You know, it regardless of
what's going on, you guys. Today we have Kyle Kulinski going in on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has been hanging out with Alex Jones. Kyle Kulinski has something to say about it. I'm giving my commentary as well. Let's watch.
Against the deep state. And there's absolutely no reason to believe that. As president, he gave the deep state everything they wanted, right? And he's going to do it again. So the idea that, like, he's the solution, he's the answer, he's going to bust things up. Well, he was president for 4 years. He didn't. You know, Tucker talks about, oh my God, these stupid foreign wars that we shouldn't be in. Well, Trump kept us in Iraq. Trump kept us in Afghanistan. Trump bombed Syria. Trump ripped up the Iran agreement, which is now bringing us to the brink of war with Iran. He tried to coup Venezuela. Again, you want to talk about CIA operations, which are completely immoral and unethical and unnecessary and stupid and dumb? There you go. That was happening under Donald Trump. He armed, you know, now it's funny, he postures as like against the Ukraine-Russia war. He was pulling the strings behind the scenes with Mike Johnson recently to get even more funding to Ukraine. He armed Ukraine when he was president. He was very hawkish against Vladimir Putin. The idea that he's like standing up to these intel agencies, no, he works with them. He is one of them. He is an elitist with incredible power and privilege, and he wants to be in the club, and he acts like he's in the club. Right? Now that he has legal problems because he committed crimes, that doesn't mean that, you know, he's an enemy of the deep state. It's not, he super served the deep state in the same way that he super served billionaires and multimillionaires while posturing as being anti-establishment. So that would be my disagreeing with him. He didn't mention anything about Trump there, but it's just funny that he can give a rant like this while also being a Trump supporter. All right. I think I got a couple more for you. Oh boy. I don't know if we'll listen to this whole thing, but here he's talking about Alex Jones, and he basically asks, like, is he a prophet?
The end stage of mind control is censorship, right? But it begins long before that, and it begins by creating false categories that wall off your willingness, that prevent you from wanting to know certain things or talk to certain people. And name calling is the most obvious tool. Like, he's a crank, he's a racist, he's a whatever, fill it in. And then you're like, I can't listen to that person. And I have to say, your willingness to platform or to have a conversation with Alex Jones, I think, was a revolutionary act, actually. Not that everything Alex Jones says is right. It's not. Not everything I say is right or anyone says is right. But Alex Jones is an interesting person. And even if he's not interesting, he has been walled off from the rest of us through name calling. And your willingness to be like, no, actually, we're just going to listen to Alex Jones and you can decide for yourself.
Well, Alex has been my friend for more than 20 years.
Well, by the way, like, okay, I can understand that argument in some contexts, right? If nobody is
If you guys like this recap, make sure to like and subscribe for more.
Platforming Noam Chomsky, and you give Noam Chomsky a platform. Yeah, that's a really good thing. It's sort of a revolutionary act. It's like he's being censored perhaps because he speaks truth to power too much, and the mainstream networks don't want that. So I could see that argument making sense in some contexts. But in other contexts, it just doesn't make sense, right? Like, you wouldn't say this about platforming Nick Fuentes, right? It would very revolutionary of you to have on that guy who's like, I am a Nazi and I love Nazism and Adolf Hitler is based. People look at that and be like, I don't know, maybe in that instance there might be a reason why people shy away from having him on, because he's advocating some truly atrocious thing. Another example, if you have on Netanyahu, right, and have like a casual, flippant, you know, nothing nonchalant conversation with him where you try to humanize him and make him sound normal and talk about his dogs or whatever, people be like, okay, this isn't a revolutionary or brave act. This is just like you are whitewashing a guy who's a literal war criminal and a genocidal maniac, right? So in some context, that argument makes sense. In other contexts, it doesn't really make sense. When it comes to Alex Jones, the thing that annoys me, and he's not as bad as Nick Fuentes, he's not as bad as Netanyahu. Every now and then he says something that's true. But I feel like he gets played up all the time, like the rare areas when he gets something right online. And it's like, why are we not talking about the times he's been horrifically and comically wrong? Why are we not talking about how he thinks Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are literal demons from hell and they smell like sulfur? It's like all the super insane things get a massive pass. And look, man, he's 20% or less is the shit he gets right. So why is nobody talking about the 80%? I don't know. That drives me crazy. It's just it's a very online thing, right?
Exactly. But you were not allowed to talk to him. And when you hear Alex Jones talk, You may not agree with everything he says. I don't know that I do. But you definitely understand why they told you couldn't listen to Alex Jones.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I had him as one of the first guests when I came over to Spotify.
Love that.
I was like, let's go.
What did they say?
Well, a lot of people weren't happy. We lost sponsors.
And I do believe that, not to deplatform anyone. I don't believe that is the answer. But I if you're going to have some type of show like this to where you're talking and there's an open conversation, open communication, then communicate sort of where you're coming from. You don't have to do that overtly, but feel out the person, see where they're coming from, see if they are full of shit, and do that on a stage. I think that you're given this platform for a reason. You're given a show like this to do something with it, to really, know that the audience is watching you and they're watching your conversation with this person. So there's a lot of different ways that you can go to expose the holes in someone's argument and hold them, quote unquote, accountable rather than just overtly doing it. I think that as a show host, you should learn how to covertly, get the underlying message across of, look, we don't really trust this guy whatsoever. And he doesn't necessarily have to know that. That way he can keep on talking. But yeah, just, make good show, make good radio, as they would say, way back whenever they were listening to the radio and shit.
It was an issue. But I think it did the job, regardless of what he said that's incorrect. Clearly the Sandy Hook thing was incorrect. Alex, I know Alex personally, so I know what he was going through. And, everybody wants to talk about mental health and they want to praise people for being honest about their mental health issues and support them on their mental health journey to wellness. Alex has gone through some real issues. And one of the reasons why he's gone through some issues is because that guy is uncovering real shit that's terrifying every fucking day.
And like you just said, he's also being dead wrong about Sandy Hook and legally defaming the victims' families. I don't know, that kind of matters to me. Also, you remember when he went on this intergalactic gremlin rant on Joe's show? Look, Rogan can do whatever he wants to do. He's friends with Alex Jones, but let's not pretend like the reason he brought him on the show is because, number one, he's his friend, and number two, the guy is fucking colossally entertaining. That's really what it boils down to, right? And I'm not criticizing that, but let's not have a jerk-off fest where everybody's jacking each other off about how amazing and correct Alex Jones is, because he's wrong way more than he's right. And again, this is a rare issue where mainstream media is more correct than the online sphere that like to highlight the 10 or 20% of things where Jones is right and act like, and again, Tucker literally goes on to say, is he some sort of a prophet? No, I think he's an overweight alcoholic Texan who's probably either severely bipolar or bordering on paranoid schizophrenic. That's kind of harsh, but that's what I think he is.
He's just fucking constantly stressed, freaking out. And when you see so many lies and so much propaganda and so many psyops that are being done on people, you start seeing them where they don't exist.
Yeah, and also, at a certain point, you have to say, he's the one doing propaganda, right? I'll never be able to get over how he postures as so anti-establishment and anti-elitist and anti-globalist and anti-New World Order, but then he sucks off Trump on a daily basis as if Trump is some sort of a bulwark against the establishment. He's not even close. He cut taxes for the wealthy. He deregulated Wall Street.
There we have it, you guys. Like I said, I'm really not for deplatforming anyone. I'm actually against wanting to censor what someone's saying. But at the very end of the day, you also can't just, blow smoke up their butt all day and make excuses for them. You have to, again, find that it's a reason why people are put in that business, put into, talking on these shows, is because they know how to do that. Or at least I believe that they could be held to that standard of knowing how to ride that line. Otherwise, you end up getting those interviews like how Joe Rogan had it with Trump, how he's had it with a few different people to where he hasn't really held them accountable, or not even. It's all about holding them accountable in a positive, either in a covert type of way, like good guy, good cop, bad cop. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. It doesn't have to be overtly bringing up these hard questions and making it uncomfortable. Again, it's an art to it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So it's another day in the progressive way.